Hello, my name is Lauren and you're on my channel Lauren's Lines, and today I have another sketchbook tour video for you. This one is a little bit funny. It's not really a sketchbook. It was a pad of watercolour paper that I was going to give away because I was moving back to Australia, being kicked out of Scotland devastatingly because of visa issues. And yeah, I was going to give it away and I was looking for a sketchbook. And I was like, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. Why am I throwing away paper and then looking for more paper in the form of a book? And so I very, very quickly DIY'd this into a sketchbook. It's still just folded in half with the messy ends chopped off and then held together with 2 hair ties tied together. So it's not my greatest work. I do have handmade sketchbooks that I've made. I'm actually using 2 at the moment, but this is not my best work. But I basically made this and then I jumped on a plane. So it's pretty bad. The cover is just a piece of black paper and some washi tape, and the washi tape's lost all its stick, and so it doesn't even stick on anymore, so it's terrible. But what is inside is much nicer, so let's get into that. I am just cutting in here really quickly to say that I've got a Redbubble page now with a couple of the sketches from this sketchbook up on it. So yeah, if you really like any of them, it's worth checking that out. I'll link it below. Yeah, because there's a good chance they'll be there, and if the one you want isn't there, you can always leave a comment and I can do that. But it's new and exciting for me, so I'm pretty stoked about it. Thanks. Yeah, so when I first came home to Sydney was in August, and I had 2 weeks in the middle of August, 2 weeks of being really jet lagged and just useless for everything. And then in September, the 1st of September, I was sitting on the balcony feeling kind of sorry for myself, and I look up in the tree and I'm like, what is that bird? It looks like a larkheet, but doesn't look like a rainbow larkheet. I wonder what it is. So I get my binoculars, I'm looking at it, and there's 2 of them sitting at the very top of the tree, snuggled together. It's still cool in the morning. Yeah, I figured out that it was a masked larkheet, and I'd never seen one of those before, so I had to get one down in my sketchbook, and that was the start of this. So yeah, it got me back into drawing after not doing it for a while, which was good. And then an African daisy that I picked walking around. I liked this one because it had like stripy petals when every other one that was there had plain white petals with no stripes. This one is a wattle bird, and I need to redo this or do another wattle bird because now that I've had closer looks at them, they actually have a wattle that they're named after. I thought they were named a wattle bird because they eat wattle. Apparently they don't, and it's because they have a little wattle thing on their face that I didn't do because I couldn't see it. Grevillea, these are really cool. It's kind of spacey looking flowers that grow. Eastern spinebill is really hard to spot, but I just bought one while I was on my walk in front of a friend's house actually. But this drawing I was on a trip to Albury-Wodonga to visit my nana, and I broke down on the side of the road, and so while I was waiting for a tow truck to come and get me, I did this. So good way to pass the time. Crimson Rosella. I'm not really happy with this one. It looks really stiff, so I have to do that again, but they are this amazing bright red. Then the following weekend, from the disastrous breaking down on the side of the road incident, I did make it down to Canberra, so not quite to my grandma's house, but I've got an aunt that lives in Canberra. And on my way down I stopped in Goulburn to have McDonald's because that's where everybody stops. It's like a motor stop, and then McDonald's is there. And so this is the view from the McDonald's car park, which I think is really special. So I painted this and ate my chips in the car, and this guy was trying to bully me for some of my chips, and I had the window down so I could breathe in the car, and I thought he was going to come in. He was like basically pecking at the window and like flapping about, and it was kind of scary. And you know, anybody who lives in Australia, magpies are brutal. Like they will swoop you in the spring to protect their nests even though you're not going anywhere near it. Yeah, so I feel like I got his angry expression. I was happy with that. And this was a sundown in Canberra, looking over the lake. I'm not sure what the lake in Canberra is called. I think there's only one. And then obviously the skyscrapers in the background. And then at the end of that trip, I took a detour through Adams Lookout. I'm not sure what the national park is that this is part of, But yeah, I was the only person there. Like the only person there. It was this huge place, and the ranger let me park there for free, which is really nice. And I didn't realize you could park right up near the lookout, and I parked ages away and then walked, which was lovely. And then on the walk back, you could hear all this rustling, and I was like, what is that? And I had been making an absolute racket because I was walking along and I knew I was the only person there, so I was like singing to myself. And then I heard this rustling, I'm like, oh my god, who's there? And then yeah, I saw this little echidna, and it was amazing. Yeah, I think I got a little bit of footage of it, and if I do, then I'll put it in. I wasn't really happy with this painting. I was really happy with the day because I got to see an echidna, which doesn't happen very often, and I was trying to do thin lines coming down into thick lines, and I don't think I really got it quite right. Yeah, but yeah, good day. Bad painting. Kookaburra, you get a lot of these around our house, and they do laugh like they say they do, so that's quite happy. I like this one, he's cute. And I met my best friend, Michelle, at Balmoral Beach, and so I was there a bit early, so I painted this while I was waiting for her. And then when we were sitting there on the beach, there was this bush turkey sussing around, looking real, just checking we were in order. Yeah. And then one morning it was really foggy. At a view that we look out the balcony. So I tried to get that with the lighter patches. I don't know if it really comes across as fog, but it's definitely recognizable as this view. And this branch here is the kookaburra branch, so we get kookaburras sitting on that branch all the time. I mean, you get lots of things sitting on that branch, but to us it's the kookaburra branch. Special and very dear to us, and we're really worried that it'll drop off eventually because it's a dead branch. But the kookaburras sit there because they get a good view, like clear, uninterrupted view of prey down below, so you shouldn't see them often sitting up there. Normally one or two, but sometimes we've seen like 6. I think 6 is probably the most we've ever seen sitting on that branch. You get all sorts on that branch, cockatoos, and the wattlebirds don't really tend to sit there, neither do the rainbow larkies. They tend to prefer to be in the leaves. But I did see a dollar bird on that branch once, which was really exciting. I'll have to do a painting of a dollar bird. They're really cool. Another kookaburra. This one was, I think it's a female. There's a pair of them and they were sitting on the balcony. I only drew one at a time and I didn't do a very good job of it. But yeah, I was missing a claw, which is a bit sad. But yeah, they were hoping for an easy meal because sometimes people will give them food if they come up that close, but I do not. Just sit there painting them. And then blue-tongued lizard. He was, what have I written here? Blue-tongued lizard in the backyard, sunning himself, then rustling through the undershrub while I was hanging out my washing. So that's pretty amazing to be hanging out my washing and seeing like this cool animal like just there. I do live in an exceptional place at the moment, so that's nice. Speaking of, on my walk from the train station to where I parked my car, I saw this possum in the tree. I thought it was a cat, and I looked up and I was looking at him, and he was looking down at me. But yeah, it's a ringtail possum, so he was pretty cute. And then this is probably my favorite sketch in the whole book. There were these lorikeets, and they were dipping into this knot in the tree, and this tree with this knot and this branch looks like this. And there must have been something in it because it kept going into it and then popping right out. It just looked so sweet. And then cockatoos at sunrise. They had this beautiful golden light hitting them, which is really cool. Another cockatoo. And then here I was trying to figure out how close I wanted to pair these two king parrots for this page. Just for some reason I could not figure out how to put them on the page and have them both fit. Yeah, after all that I wasn't really happy with this. I'm happy with the gradient of the green into the red for the female. I think they just look really elegant and lovely. But I forgot to give her feet until the very end, and so they're just kind of scribbled in. I should have just left her with no feet and pretended that she was floating. Another one of the trees from across the road, the bark of the eucalyptus just kind of strips off in these funny patterns, and so it leaves all these really interesting colours going on. This page. And then, when was this? The 10th, so September, October, the bottle brush in our front yard blossomed, and we've been waiting for it all for a while, because you can see it, you know, it's getting close, and then boom, it all blossoms at once. And we knew that the lorikeets were going to go for it, and there was heaps of them in this like one bush of bottle brush, and they were just having a ball. Yeah, so it was really cool. It was hard, you couldn't count them, there were so many, and obviously you can't see all of them, and they're all moving around all the time. Yeah, if you get close, they all leave at once, like poof, like all of them gone. I was happy how I got the breast feathers on them. They have this cool orange and yellow, and I was really happy with how I got that with the wet watercolour. So I was pleased with that. And same with the colours kind of overlap. Sometimes like it's not like a sharp line between colour block of the feathers. Yeah, they're pretty spectacular birds really, and they're so common, you see them all the time. Yeah, this is another sunrise, like golden leaves on one side and then blue on the other, because they're just coming up. Pied carong, yellow eye, easily mistaken for a magpie. So yeah, people often think that these are magpies, but the big difference is that they've got a yellow eye and then it had less white on them. I wasn't really happy with this drawing. It's supposed to be like leaning towards me, and so that's why the head and shoulders is bigger and then the body's further away. But it just looks like he's got a big head. So, no for next time. This was another trip to Canberra. I stayed with my aunt again. She lives there, and she's got these beautiful roses. And this was one that she had cut inside, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, I've never seen a rose like that, with pink on one side and then yellow on the other side of the petals. So I thought that was really cool. So had to go in the sketchbook. And then this is a view from the backyard. Obviously they've got a lovely backyard, and I think they hate the telephone wires, but I've got a thing for telephone wires. If you've seen my other sketchbook videos, I think it's the thumbnail as well, because I like it so much. Yeah, I really like telephone wires, so I've drawn that as well. And then we went to the National Arboretum. So this whole landscape used to be, it got burnt with bushfires, and they decided it was too close to Canberra city to replant the bush, because it could just burn again quite easily, and it threatens houses and stuff. But they've replanted it as an arboretum, so it's all these different types of trees, like spaced far enough apart, I guess, to be safe. So kind of like a botanical garden, but with trees and lots of them. So that was quite interesting. And this little slither of green is that they had this green lawn, and I don't know if they had a workshop or something on, but all these kids were flying kites. So it's just a beautiful, sunny, blue sky kind of day, watching all these kids fly kites. It was just lovely. Yeah. Oh, and we saw a man walking a cat, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, he had a cat on the lead, and the cat didn't seem to mind. He seemed to be having a good day too. They also had like a bonsai room, and the man guide, the tree man in the bonsai room, seemed to take a shining to me, because I was asking him lots of questions. And then whenever I was like, I'd move on and look at something else, then he'd like come on over, follow me around and be like, oh, I'll tell you this about this one, and did you know that? And like all this cool stuff. So I got to learn a lot about bonsais, which I didn't know anything about before. I thought this one in particular was really cool. It's probably not one of the most impressive ones they had there. They had some cool ones, and he showed me which was his favorite, and I'm sorry to that man, but I didn't draw his favorite one. But I thought it was cool. I'm like, how did they get it to join back together to be a tree again? I'm like, did they wrap it? I'm like, how did they do that? And he's like, oh, the soil level would have been originally here, and these two bits are roots. I was like, whoa. And so they've just like taken the soil level down. It's still got soil at the bottom. But yeah, that just blew my mind. So I had to put that one in. And then we're back home. It was a nice sunset. And I did a botanical art class. And and it was just at a community college. And I remember being in the class and thinking I wasn't getting much out of it. But then when I got home and I was using the things that I got from it, I was like, actually, I learned a lot. So ended up being pleased. And so I drew this. This is one of the hibiscuses from my neighbour's garden. It was a couple of days old to the end, so kind of a bit scruffy, but I think that's what makes it interesting. And then usually where we are here, we get lots of cockatoos. So sulfur-crested cockatoos. But sometimes we get corellas, and it's hard to tell the difference because they're about the same size and they're all white. And the only thing that you can tell is a cockatoo is it's got that yellow crest. So if you can't quite see it or there's a leaf behind it, it's hard to tell. But there was 2 of these sitting in the very, very tippy top of a tree, and I got my binoculars on it so I could tell. Yeah, so that's exciting. I really like this spread, I think because it's like the pink, and the pink, and I'm happy with all 3 things, so that's good. I think my bird drawings, like just in this sketchbook, have gotten a lot better. Like if I look at this one compared to this one, like I'm like, oh, I'm getting better. Yes, which is good. And then after that big success, I put the sketchbook down because, you know, when you do something really good, you don't want to ruin it. And so I didn't use it for ages, and we went to Cold Cliff, which is down the coast, and I found this cool bit of seaweed, and so I painted it. And then weeks later, we went down to Canberra again, and on the side of the road I saw these 2 yellow-cheeked cockatoos. So the cheek here where there's a hole is yellow, and the rest of them is black, and there's some yellow in the tail. And I was sitting just about like this, and I remember getting like a little like mental snapshot of them. I knew I wanted to do a painting of them. And so I did the drawing, and then I left it as just a drawing for ages. And I always meant to paint it, and just like, I just didn't want to paint it. So here are the colours that I would have used if I painted this. This was more fun, making just the squares. And then this is similar to what we did in the botanical art class. But with the botanical art class, we did a pear, and I'll put a slide of that in here. I don't think the apple worked as well as the pear. And I did this one first and then this one. But the motivation for finishing this one, even though it wasn't really working and I wasn't making messy edges and stuff, was that I knew that if I finished it, then I got to cut it in half and I could eat one half while I did this half. And so that was good. It was a tasty apple. And then this is the very last page, and because it was the last page, I was just like, I'm so over this book. I want to be finished with it. It's not a proper sketchbook. It was driving me nuts. The cover was driving me nuts. And so I just did these loose flowers inspired by Mary Sanch. I'll link hers below. She does these amazing sketchbook videos. All of her videos are amazing, but I really love her sketchbook videos. So I was trying to emulate her sort of like really simplified flowers. I don't know if it really worked with Australian natives, and then I tried to do it with pen. And yeah, I don't know if it really worked, but I'm happy with a lot of things in this sketchbook. So I guess it doesn't matter that the last page is not the greatest, because it means I can just like, it's done. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Remember to like and subscribe and all of those sorts of things. It means the world. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one.